Good afternoon, Frank. I don't have a whole lot to say here because all of you have known our guest of honor probably longer as long as I have, and most of you have paintings of his hanging in your houses. I grew up with a bunch of them, and we have a bunch of them in our house, and it is a pretty special thing to have Frank here with us today. Before I forget, I want to tell you that we have wine and other drinks out back, and also a birthday cake, because our guest of honor will be turning 106 in 2 weeks. We can sing later and I won't lead it. How's that sound? We're here for a number of reasons. One is to honor our guest. The other is because his son Paul, standing behind him, old friend and the guy that I had to wrestle to get my wife, was kind enough to donate this statue to us. You probably already know this, but the larger version, the lesser version, sits in the Village Green in Kennebunkport. Paul wanted this one to be here in part because he grew up next door, but also he wanted it to be here because this is the one that bears the better likeness of him. So I just want you all to see it. Right now it looks a little bit like a Christ statue, but it's not. Handsome guy. We are delighted to have this here. I want to thank Dennis Gosselin, who put the base under it for us and attached it to the ledge. But it is, we hope, a permanent installation here at the community center for all of us to remember our forebears of the coast, and there will be a bronze plaque to replace that rather cheesy looking thing there. And to remember our friends and neighbors from years gone by. It's a real delight to have it. We are very, very thankful. That's all I've got to say, but I think Frank has a couple of words that he'd like to say, so let me bring this over here. Turn it around. Oh, here, you take this, I'll turn it. All right. Ready?
Thank you. Well, all I can say is the making a statue is not quite the simple thing it seems. I lived in Kennebunkport on the second floor, and I had a desire to work in clay. I'd never done anything that size, so I did what I call a fisherman and his wife. And getting it downstairs was a bit of a trick. I didn't want to have anybody carry it and drop it, so we put 2x4s down and took it down with the bottom top. And then I had them cast it's near Boston, not one of these casts. The other cast was plaster, which I worked with. And I was allowed to work in
Sculptor?
Lord Manson.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Yeah. I had a big new garage. They gave me the use of it. And so I finished it in there. And of course, when you start, you have to have an amateur. You just don't put your clay. The clay makes it work. The amateur has to be very accurate. It has to be made within 1 inch to allow for an inch of clay. So I eventually got through that. I lived through that. Why I don't know. Anyway, we got that, and I proceeded to. I got the armatures made to allow 1 inch of clay. As I put the clay on, which is easy enough to work, but tricky. And when I got into this 9-foot size, I wore my oilskins because leaning up against it with clay.
No, closer, closer.
How long is it since I yelled at you?
How long is it since I yelled?
So anyway, I was in the process of doing this, and people would come and comment on it. And eventually I thought, I was hooked now at the original 3-foot size, such as this here. And I thought, I'm going to make this a 9-foot high statue, and I hope that I can get a community or some organization to purchase it. So I started, and I had it well along. And John Ranoli with his mother came along and said they'd like to take care of the finances. That was great for me, and for them too. So I finished it up, and we moved. I had a young man who was a sculptor who had studied with a man in Canada. He knew something about metal casting. So we worked together, and I took casts off my statue, hard wax casts, and gave them to him. He had hundreds of these, which he would somehow, I won't go into that, how he was able to get the surface, or the working surface, and got it into metal. And we put the statue together piece by piece, the metal. It was quite interesting. I had the section where I had the man, fisherman, holding the thing, and I had the arms just right. And we couldn't seem to get it to go right. Couldn't get him to go together. I said, I'll have to put up with it. So he made one touch with the welding torch. They went right in place. Well, that happened several times. We were saved. That was a process in itself. And we got it down to Kennebunkport and erected it, dedicated it. I don't know why I elected to do this in 3-foot high, but I just wanted to work in clay. And that was the result. That I ended up with a fisherman and his wife. And I was carried on to the full 9-foot size eventually. And that's why I look the way I look. Well, I don't think I can give you any more details. It was a process. People that see statues don't realize what goes into the making of them, you know. They have to have what they call a pointing machine. So you can take from a working level. And you have this pointing machine, and it enlarges the spots you're taking. And I didn't have one, so I had to devise a means of enlarging. And it was quite a trick, but I got it. And the armature, you know, they're made out of fiberglass. And they're only made within 1 inch of the finished size. I allow only 1 inch to work clay. And I won. Here I am, years after. I said I was going to make a 9-foot statue without anybody buying it. But she said, I know you're determined, so go ahead. So I was very lucky in having John Rinaldi come along with his mother. Very lucky. Or I'd have had 2 clay orphans on my hand. But it worked out fine. I can't think of anything else to say other than I'm glad to see everybody here and to see the unveiling of the original 3-foot model I made. And to get it out the room and downstairs, I didn't want 2 men near a high-strung car. But I thought they'd drop it and I can't repair it. But I put 2 2x4s down the stairs with a block and tackle. We eased it down. We had it cast. This is one of the casts. And the other cast was plaster, which I utilized by laying it off. The line equaled 1 foot. So I had to take this shape off. I cut this fiberglass, which came 1 foot thick. And we got through that way. I don't know why, but we did. I was going to say, people that see statues have no idea how they're made. Nor did I. Yeah. Oh, happy birthday. I'm 106.